science to get you confused. So relax your mind, make sure everything is fine, while I take you down a poetic line. Trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain, I remember you say Liberation Day, and I ask, you sure is that you wanna say? Cause you sounded so good to believe. And deception is a powerful thing when you lose your rightful thinking. So we voted for the bling. But you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. Yellow, yellow all the way is what everybody say. Cell phone ring, man answering. Yellow, yellow, no hello. Teeth get yellow, house get yellow, bus get yellow, man get yellow, even green get yellow, and so says 11-4. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. Old school parables say you know what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, one song I sing, one bell I ring. If we didn't know, we'd never know yellow would have treated us so. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease, that's the way it is.
Good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it's time for Talking Points.
Now refrain. They began with
the most controversial radio program on the island of Grenada. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be taking you up until the 10 o'clock hour. Hope that all of you had a fabulous day today.
We can't give you attention.
It wasn't one of those rainy days where you can't do what you have to do and so, At least not in the south of the island. Maybe had a little drizzle here and there, but not much. Saying a special good night to all the listeners joining us via the various media. Those of you joining us via our website, talkingpointslive.com. Those of you on YouTube, on the Talking Points Live on YouTube. And those of you joining us via Facebook at www.facebook.com/talkingpointsgnd/live. And also, we are live on 89.5 CRFM Community Radio on your frequency modulated. Saying a special good night to you, Quincy, and of course to my good friend, my buddy, Kiampesh. Hope that you both are having a good night. And to each and every one of you, let's get into it. Yeah, it's Talking Points tonight. We had to go with it. You understand? No. What the computer trying to do? Yeah, the computer trying to do a thing there and trying to restart on me during the program, and I can't do that.
Busy governing, busy managing, busy politicking, busy neglecting, busy inflicting poverty.
And we do apologize for Thursday's program. I know many of you was looking forward to that program.
Yellow conviction, strong. So why not?
But let's see if we could make up for that now.
Like water in foam.
We're going to try to see if we could make up for that tonight, right?
Stress on the economy. You are Manchester, whole of the country. You didn't see us down by the brewery when you send SSU to beat we. Trick us with campaign.
And folks, the phone lines are open tonight, 4407377. And for those of you outside of Grenada, especially those of you in the US, North America, whether you're in the UK and so on, you can call us on 1347-329-3101. So the phone lines will be open a little later in the program.
You left him with Glenn alone. Maybe
did promise you all we're going to give you some clips tonight. Yeah, the clips does take a while and that kind of thing, Yeah, clips does kind of take a while too, So it does take a little while to get them ready and to put them together and that sort of thing. And it's very important to listen carefully when people speak. Whether it's me that you're listening to or whether it's someone else that you're listening to. It's very important that you listen carefully when people are speaking. And I'll tell you why too. Because sometimes there's a lot that's not said in what is said. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. Sometimes there is a lot that's said in what is not said. And sometimes you have to listen carefully to what was said to understand about what was not yet said. All right? So let me go on to the YouTube and start to big up the crew out there and know that you all are locked in. Remember to like and share. Like and share. From the moment you come on, you're supposed to like and share. All right, so let me see. Denise is there. Wilma, Errol, Christine, good night. Matthew is there as well. Marilyn, and you're on the YouTube. All right, Gemma, I am seeing you there. Nice. Beavis, good night. Seeing all of you locked on the YouTube. Let me see if I could get over to the Facebook Live and see who is there already. Let me see if I could get into, let me see, I see Evelyn, Neil Augustine, Mavis, Josette, Lescu, all right. Keisha, hey, night. Dan Raj, yeah. Williams, Agnes, Claude, Gil, seeing all of you out there over on the live. Nice. Maria, good night to each and every one of you, and I hope that all of you are having a wonderful night tonight. Just letting the numbers build up before we get into it. We don't want people missing out, you know, so we're just letting the numbers build up a bit before we get fully into it. All right.
Of men are scornful of principles of godliness, wisdom, and freedom. But woe, 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 woe comes swiftly, man. But woe, woe, woe.
And you know, I tend to play this tune because I don't know. It's like if this person wrote that tune for Grenada. Eh? It's not a Grenadian tune, you know.
There is no children.
And folks, remember, we're just about a week away from the budget presentation. I'm very interested in hearing what is contained in the budget. And I think Grenadians, one and all, whether you're from Piti, Martinique, or you're from Carriacou, whether you reside out there in the US or Canada or the UK or even other Caribbean islands, Virgin Islands, I see you. Yeah. Those of you out there in Africa who are tuning in each and every night to Talking Points. No wonder they continue trying to shut down the Talking Points program. I say a special good night to each and every one of you. All right? I say a special, very special good night to each and every one of you. Oh, Linda. Hey, Linda Imelda Francois. It's been a very long time since I've said that name. I love to pronounce it. Linda Imelda Francois. Yeah. A special good night to you. Yeah, it's been a bit, yeah? I'm seeing you in from Aruba. Clement, I'm seeing you as well. Yeah, you know the troublemakers gonna come in, and I ain't worried, you know, because I know you all gonna deal with them when they jump into the live. So we're not worried about that. Just remember, I need you all right now to like and share. Like and share. Just continue doing that. Like and share the program. It's important that you like and share the program. All right? Share it on WhatsApp. Share it on Instagram. Share it on Facebook. All right? Knock your neighbor door and tell them the program is on now. Make a phone call. Call one of your friends. Call your family. Call your relative. Tell them the program is on now. Because they afraid the program. So the more of you that's listening to the program, the more afraid they get. So we have to spread the word that the program is on. Now, I was saying earlier that we have the budget presentation coming next week. I'm very interested in hearing the budget presentation by the Honorable Minister of Finance. That is the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell. I'm very interested in hearing his budget presentation because, to be honest, I hearing some kind of things there and it have me kind of concerned. You understand? It have me kind of concerned. Because I, like many other people, heard the statement made by the Honorable Ron Redhead, Minister with responsibility for youth and sport. I heard the statement that he made in relation to the removal of the money under the Imani, because I know that during my time, the budget for Imani was had gotten at one stage somewhere to, I think it was about 42 or something million that was put into that program to help with the Imani program. Afterwards, I think the last figure, I think, was somewhere between 35 and 38 million. I can't remember off the top of my head. That figure that was there in the last budget, that would be the budget that was delivered in December of last year for 2022. The figure that was there for Imani. Now, the Honorable Ron Redhead has said that that money that's placed there is going to be removed. Now, I won't fly off the handle like some other people are saying and say that it means that they are going to get rid of the Imani program. I'm not gonna say that. It might be the gospel truth, but I'm not gonna say that, because I'll tell you something, the moment that you all heard and started to share what the Honorable Ron Redhead said, they had to change mind. They had to change plans. So by the time you hear the budget next week, they would be coming up with something else. It may not be a situation where they're sending home the Imani, but if the Imani is a program that young people are receiving a stipend, are doing training, and I listened to the Prime Minister speak about it, and he speaks with this program with such disdain. It shows a total lack of understanding of what this program means to so many young people in the state of Grenada. And sometimes I tend to blame those of you who have spent time in the Imani program. You know why? Because there are literally hundreds of you that have gotten permanent employment. You're no longer in the program, but you started off doing the job that you're doing now as an Imani trainee. You did. I know of a manager of one branch of a bank that started off as an Imani trainee. That's how they got their foot in the door into that business place, into that banking institution. They started off as an Imani trainee, and I know of several others who have started off in the credit union movements and so on at lower levels as Imani trainees and are now in middle management. I can't force them to talk. They won't come out and say, many of them, because here in our country, it seems as though the word Imani has become a bad word. That's what it seems as, that word Imani has become like a bad word. Like if you say Imani in tongue and a police hear you, that they could pick you up and charge you for using obscene language. That's how they wanted the word Imani to start to sound. So when you see the Prime Minister twisting up his face and talking about the Imani like it's some kind of a disease, he doesn't understand what that program has done for so many young people. That there are young people that are now at university who started in the field that they are now studying in university through that Imani program. That's how they got their foot in the door. There are young people who entered the Imani with no subjects, none, zilch, zero. In other words, that was to the level of the MP for Karaku. Zero. Now I think he had one. Yeah. Like 2 ice stumps gone, he had one remaining. Right, yeah. But they entered the program at that level. And now these young people are at university pursuing degrees. And they've done that through the Imani program. Now, let's blow the trumpet a bit, because it seems as though something wrong and you shouldn't have young people in Imani program and people mustn't be in Imani program and who in Imani program long and so on. Okay. If you want to eviscerate the Imani program, if you want to go ahead and start sending home people from the Imani program, say that. As I said before, sometimes it's not in so much what a person says, it's in what they don't say. And in fact, let me see if I can pull it up here. What the Honorable Ron Redhead, and I give him his full title, you know. I'm not one of these others there playing nasty on radio and so on and calling people all kind of thing and refusing to show the respect that's due. All right? Even though they don't show respect to us, we'll show respect to them. All right? So let me see if I can and pull that one up in relation to the yes. All right, I think I have it here. Let me just stop this and let me pull it up. Oh, this has to be removed. Nice. Yeah, so let me just play that one for you.
Now, we have a budget coming up pretty soon, and I want to get through this here quickly with you because we are out of time, but we have a budget coming up soon. What any special provisions, any major changes on the vote, the allocation for youth in particular coming up? Anything big that you have planned that you're asking the government for?
I can tell you without going into exact details that the Imani program will see the whole question of the transition that has been always spoken about. We'll see that being done in the coming financial period of the government. So the large amount that is normally allocated, 38 million or so, just for the program itself, will not continue, right? So we will be embarking on a new structure to be able to roll out not just a youth training and apprenticeship program, but some sort of employment agency type of thing for young people.
No, as I've said, sometimes it's what a person doesn't say, and sometimes it's what they say. So this minister, who obviously doesn't know his toe from his toenail, is speaking about changing the Ministry of Youth now into quote-unquote an employment agency. So the training will be done by the NTA, and let me tell you this, yeah? Good night, Shirley. Yeah, good night, Lyndon. Casimir, good night. Yeah. What has taken place with the Imani over the last couple of years is that the training that they have been doing is usually certified, as far as I know, certified by the National Training Agency anyway. So coming to say that you're going to place the program fully under the National Training Agency just shows a lack of competency on behalf of the present leadership at the Ministry of Youth. Because you were able to work along with the National Training Agency when you had the Honorable Emlyn Pear in charge of the Ministry of Youth, innit? You were able to work along when you had Senator Garway in there, you had the Honorable Kate Skeeter-Lewis there. And they were able to work along with the National Training Agency. But now you've ended up with a deficit in leadership at the Ministry of Youth. And as such, the program has to be handed over wholly to the National Training Agency. But here it is. The Honorable Minister is also saying that the funds, and what are those funds for? Those are the funds that Imanis receive as stipend. So if you're saying that those funds are being cut from the budget, what you are indeed saying is that either you're going to place it under the National Training Agency. I won't say that they're just sending them home, because I believe over the weekend, when they saw the kickback from those Imani trainees, their friend, their family, and even their own supporters who vote for them, when they saw the kickback from them, they took day and make night over the weekend to make sure that the Imani remains for now. Let me say that again, that the Imani remains for now. Because I know there's a minister that say things like October 19th is a holiday, and then you just say afterwards is not a holiday and all kind of thing. Because if you remove the budget, how do the trainees receive a stipend, or does it now become a stipendless program? And the minister even went on. To make statements of now the ministry becomes an employment agency. So that is what the Ministry of Youth come to. The Ministry of Youth that over the years has been one of the leading ministries in Grenada now becomes simply an employment agency. I mean, something definitely has to be wrong with the leader. But then I remember who's the advisor to. I remember, no, we go play some of what the advisor, one of the advisors who advising right now, we won't see what they say. 75% of the program, the NTA is involved in providing training. Listen, people don't just go under the Imani program. If you go under the Imani program and you're going to be certified under a specific area, there are certain criteria under the Caribbean vocational qualifications that have to be covered in order for you to get your level 1 certification or your level 2 or your level 3 certification, etc. And those areas are marked out. So when you enter the program and you enter a place of training, let's say you're in the hospitality arts sector, there are various modules under the Caribbean vocational qualification, various areas that it says that people must cover. So you must cover a certain amount of hours. For instance, if you're doing bartending, a certain amount of hours doing bartending at a specific level, a certain amount of hours doing front desk or whatever it is. You have a slate of different things that you must complete over a period of time in order to be CVQ or NVQ qualified. So to give the impression that everybody in the Imani had nothing to do with the NTA, yeah, before Imani trainees could go to several of these places, before they are allowed to go, they must be certified by the NTA already. But I'm saying that there is now a deficit of leadership when it comes to the issue of youth in this country. There's a deficit of leadership in the Ministry of Youth, in the same way that there is a deficit of leadership when it comes to our country at this point in time. You have ministers going out there making all sorts of weird statements. Imagine a minister announce a whole holiday and then they have to come back and take it back and say it's not so. A whole holiday as of next year, the minister announced, and all of a sudden they have to take it back and say it's not so. So the minister announced basically that Imani fini, done. And now they had to be taking it back over the weekend. I saw that he put out something via social media. Well, I hope it's him. Because next thing is one of them fake account that putting out all kind of thing, they that put it out. But some account put out something saying that how the Imani will not be stopped and that kind of thing. Then explain to us, and then even when he's speaking there, to show the incompetence of the individual that holds the office of Minister of Youth in this country. The individual goes further to say that the Prime Minister would speak to that in the budget speech. Brother, it's a budget statement that he's going to make. You've been in Parliament before and you ought to know. He's making a budget statement which will make generalized statements in relation to those areas and point out the core areas that government is going to focus on in the next budgetary cycle. You, as the Minister of Youth, are the one who have to make the presentation and explain to people what is taking place with the Imani program. I know we had to take some early to school, so let me just do it tonight. You, as the Minister of Youth, Honorable Minister, are the one that now have to come in your presentation and speak to the young people of this country and tell them 38 million gone, that you're bringing 68 for them instead. That you're doubling the amount for the stipend. Because it's your political leader that stand up in a meeting and say that all that money that they're getting is next to nothing, you know. The facilitators, the areas were all covered by the NTA. And you can't say you don't know that because it's basically the same key staff. We know they ain't going to last long again. We know most of them you're sending them home and thing. Who you say you go jail. I don't know since when the Minister of Youth in Grenada becomes a police officer or the DPP that he could come and say that people have to go to jail. I don't know since when the DPP has the same office as the Minister of Youth. That the Minister of Youth is the one coming and say who had to go to jail and who had to this and who had to that. Somehow you go find yourself in jail before the people are talking about. Somehow you go find yourself in jail before the people are talking about. Careful, look about what you say. Because he ain't things. I ain't say you, but somehow all you. Even the facilitators were trained by the NTA. So it is not a situation that people were just grabbed up and you just send them in a place and you say you're training. And you know, even worse, because let's just hear part of what the minister, let's just hear it again. what the minister said, because I want you to hear this part.
We have a budget coming up pretty soon, and I want to get through this here quickly with you because we are out of time. But we have a budget coming up soon. Any special provisions, any major changes on the allocation for youth in particular coming up? Anything big that you have planned that you're asking the government for?
I can tell you without going into exact details that the Imani program will see the whole question of the transition that has been always spoken about. We'll see that being done in the coming financial period of the government. So the large amount that is normally allocated, 38 million or so, just for the program itself, will not continue.
So if that does not continue for the program, even if the program is being shifted, you've made a finite statement. There's a finality to that statement. Let's listen to it again.
The large amount that is normally allocated, 38 million or so, just for the program itself, will not continue. Right?
Maybe the minister misspoke. Maybe he's making a mistake. I don't know, because remember, he gave a holiday on October 19th and now we are in dying so. So maybe he misspoke on this one too. But that makes me all the more interested in hearing the budget presentation, but even more interested than hearing the budget presentation, because I kind of know what they're coming with, the kind of nonsense, because you hear it off the platform and things. So you know basically what they're coming and say. And then they go in and show barbs and say this one corrupt and that one corrupt and blah, 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 blah. Right? But I'm more interested in hearing Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell make his rebuttal to the budget. That's what I'm really interested in hearing. And believe me, Talking Points will be bringing it to you live. We will make sure that you hear each and every member of the opposition team. We'll ensure that you hear everything. Because when they come, they're speaking about, oh, you have a bunch of people under Imani, and like these people, they're doing training forever. That's not the case. Yes, you have some people who have been there for an extended period of time. And nobody's denying that there are some people. But trying to brand the whole program as though it's a bunch of people that's just been there for the last 20 years under the program, that's sort of nonsense. That is not true. And they know that's not true. Yes, you have people who've been there for an extended period of time. And then the minister even does something even worse than that, you know. He brands the private sector of Grenada. Yes, some are saying all you who fund the campaign. He brand you all as dishonest. That's what he do. Because he's saying, no, you all shouldn't have young people working there. So what happens, because I've heard it from him, I've heard it from the Honorable Prime Minister, that complaint about young people or people under the Imani program that are now working in the private sector where there's counterpart funding, where the government provides a stipend to that individual, and the place where they're working also provides a stipend to them. So it means, therefore, that under whatever program they're going to call it now, or whatever program is going to exist, if any at all, exists after this budget presentation into next year, because some Imani trainees done saying they're hearing some kind of thing. I ain't see letters yet, so I ain't going to say they get letters. And when I see letters, or when they could confirm that they, I won't talk about it. But for now, I just hearing things. But what they speak about means that all of those young people, if it's 800, if it's 700 who are working in the private sector, they are basically going to tell the private sector, you have to hire this person permanently or we're going to pull them out of the entity. Now, if you pull them out of the entity, what I want to know is it still going to be a situation that they are provided a stipend under the Imani program? Because they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. They were working with an entity. Sometimes the entity might not be financially where it wants to be. Sometimes it may just be a situation that they don't even really need the person, you know. But they're giving the person an opportunity to train so that they can earn their CVQ qualifications. So sometimes they're just giving that person the opportunity to do some training. But this is what the minister had to say about the people in the private sector?
So that's the crux of the issue. Now, on one hand, you have the issues, challenges with the economy to be able to absorb the workers. But on the other hand, now the private sector, in having the agreement with the previous administration on this program, ought to have been a bit more honest in the dialogue regarding this. We are having situations where the government of Grenada is paying people to train, but they are working for the private sector. And I'm saying that is an unsustainable model that we have to change. So the role of the private sector is critical as well.
So, in other words, the private sector is dishonest for taking these trainees and giving them an opportunity to learn and to earn a permanent job. Let me throw a figure at you. Between October and December of last year, you had 456 young people that came off a Imani program and went into a permanent job. 456. You could quote me on that, and they cannot refute it. 456 between October and December, right? You had July last year also having the second highest number of trainees transitioning to full-time employment. And this was a result of the Ministry of Health and Social Development transitioning trainees at the health services and geriatric care facilities to contractual employment with the service provider. A total of 287 trainees are now employed. Well, that's last year, because we employed, right? That was from July last year, the second highest number. But the impression that they are trying to give is that people entered the Imani when New National Party returned and they never left, nobody in leave. Listen, it's our people training to be doctors right now who entered into that field through the Imani program. I know of several nurses, some of them here. I know of at least 2 nurses that are now in the UK. Two nurses I know regionally, and all of them started at the General Hospital and other medical facilities under the Imani program. Now they are full nurses. Or let's put it in the white, full nurses. And they started off as Imani trainees. They got the opportunity. They got the foot in the door through the Imani program. But right now, what this incompetent minister and his incompetent cabinet is planning to do is shut that door so your foot can't go through. But you know, we're saying it and we know pretty well that over the weekend, what they go and do, that weekend go on and this week, they go take day and make night. And they go say, no, it's not that, we misunderstood what they said. You know that is what they're coming with. We had situations where you took Imani trainees and you formed them into cooperatives and so on. Some transitioned into small business out of the Imani program. They ain't talking about that. They ain't want you to get those messages. Again, that's why they want this program to shut down, because you see, you wouldn't hear that other places. That's why they want to get rid of this program. That's why every single day they report in the page. Every single day they have to report something on the page. Me and Mark Zuckerberg, his friend, continue reporting the page. Me and Mark, his friend. Yeah, with his friends. Every single day, because they don't want that information to go out there. Again, hear what the minister says about the private sector. The same private sector, somehow you take all your money and give them to campaign.
That's the crux of the issue. Now, on one hand, you have the issues, challenges with the economy to be able to absorb the workers. But on the other hand, now the private sector, in having the agreement with the previous administration on this program, ought to have been a bit more honest in the dialogue regarding this. We are having situations in having the agreement with the previous administration on this program, ought to have been a bit more honest in the dialogue regarding this.
I mean, the people offered an opportunity for people who did not have an opportunity to receive training at their institution. Their institutions are certified by the NTA. They certify before a trainee goes there. Because if you're sending a trainee, good night to you, Minavera. I hope St. Lucia is well. Nice. Yes, and Wilma, baby daddy, good night to you. Antonio, good night to you. And Gavin, good night. Yeah, I'm trying to say here that you're clearly seeing the incompetence of the individuals that hold that office and a lack of understanding of what they are destroying. There's a lack of understanding there. I heard them making statements about Imani trainees can't get this and Imani trainees. Talk to the credit union and find out if Imani trainees can't get nothing there. Find out how much of them who you just removed that $38 million from. So you take $38 million away from these vulnerable people, as you call them, in the Imani program. You've taken $38 million out from them. But you make sure and add $24,000 for you on a yearly basis. You take out that 38, but you add $24,000 a year additional for you, and you didn't even complete your probationary period at 3 months. Only look at a probationary period probably like 3 weeks, because within 6 weeks, it happened already. Salary increase, first paycheck come out, bam, second paycheck, salary increase. I didn't complete a probationary period to find out if you're competent at doing the job that you're doing right now, but you increased your salary, and then you remove the $38 million from the poor and vulnerable, as you call them, Imani trainees. I like to call them young, intelligent, people with a bright future once they get the right direction. But you cut that. Get rid of them. Good night to you, Philip Andrew. Yeah? They cut that. Rhonda Marine, good night to you. And Roses, good night to you as well. They cut that because it's poor people children. So they feel they can do them as they want. Because we know the history, and remember the history of what they did to them before. The history is there. What they did to them before. Because the same person who is the advisor right now, remember, that is the individual that went there and told those Imani trainees when they were down at the Grenada Trade Center in July of 2008 that they would not be sent home, that they would be kept. The same person who is advisor there now is the one that told them that. I still have the video and I still have the audio. That told them they would not be sent home. I'm like a father. And he promised them that they would not be sent home. So any Imani person, any Imani trainee, the problem is the young people who are in the program now are not the same young people who were in the program back in 2008, because those people are not too young too. But it's not the same people that was in the program back in 2008. And maybe some of UNO who was in the program back in 2008 needed to speak with the young people who are under the program now. Because you know the history of the political organization that now runs, or if your other eye, ruins this country. You know their historical precedent when it comes to the Imani program. You know the nonsense that they did in the Ministry of Youth before. The total nonsense that they did there. That it took us coming in to have to build a stadium. A stadium that was already funded and everything for. It took New National Party to come in and did. Those younger ones just know it have a stadium there. They don't know the story. They just know you have the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. They don't know the story. That the last NDC government had given up that stadium, given up the houses that you see shining on that hill in St. David and so on right now. That they had given up that and said to give us the money instead, so that we could go and pay salaries and that sort of thing. That is where Grenada came to. Grenada got to the stage that paying salaries on time was an achievement when the NNP came in, because the last administration was not able to do that. Public workers all get paid today. Leave a beer for a boy in one of those stores and them. One beer, not more than that, right? Yeah. We limiting we intake. One. But that is what was taking place. That is what these individuals are doing. So now they basically are saying, not basically, they're saying it, that the private sector was dishonest.
The private sector, in having the agreement with the previous administration on this program, ought to have been a bit more honest in the dialogue regarding this. We are having situations where the government of Grenada is paying people to train, but they are working for the private sector. And I'm saying that is an unsustainable model that we have to change. So
the model has provided opportunities for literally thousands of young people over the past few years. As I mentioned to you, between October and December last year alone, over 400. Earlier in July, when you had the second highest number, you had over 200. And you'd have a little 10, 20, 50 here and there over a period of time that get permanent employment. Now, if you're going to cut out that aspect of the program, it means the 7 or 800 or 1,200 young people that are now engaged with the private sector through the Imani program, these people have to go home. Isn't that the situation? Isn't that what they're facing? So to come and give the impression that people out there saying things, no, we know they're going to run and try and change it now, and it go show up, because you will mess up with the figures and you will mess up with the section. So you come and try to deal with that. No, but it just shows the level of incompetence. It shows the level of incompetence when the minister, and the minister cannot, he probably could tell other people that. He can't tell people like me that. I'm part of the probably 1% of the Grenadian population that has ever sat in parliament. Yeah. It's only about 1% of the whole population that ever probably sat in parliament before. And I'm in that 1%, but also not just parliament, but in a ministry, in a senior position. So I know for a fact that the permanent secretary cannot send out those kind of letters discontinuing the services of people who have been taking care of playing fields around the island, in some instances for over 20 years, and receive letters discontinuing their service. But again, as soon as you start to talk about it, you know what it does do. They run, they say it's a mistake, oh, we made a little mistake, and that ought not to have been done. The buck stops with the minister. Don't try and pass it down the line to a SAO or the permanent secretary or your coordinator or whatever it is. The buck stops with you. Because they must have received that directive from you. So when you have the field up in St. John's now, chang, like if somebody passed with a cutlass and cut it, instead of using a weed eater or a lawnmower or one of the big machines to grade it properly like was being done before. But just because of political leanings of some individuals, the contract and the perceived political leanings of some persons, the contract was taken from one individual and given to our next individual. Nothing to do with what the minister was speaking about, oh, we're trying to make sure that we change the way of operating, and you have a manager for the place because people coming and they can't use the playing field and all that sort of nonsense. It just shows the incompetence at the top. And the mere fact that the Prime Minister has not reined in this minister who's sending out letters that he had to call back, who talking about holidays that don't exist, and who is also now saying that, even though he said that the money wouldn't be there, because if the money is not there, are you going to be telling all those young people under the Imani, all those young people who are under the Imani now, are you going to be telling them that they need to pay to be in the program? They have to find money and pay to be in the program? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. Yeah, I just do not understand it. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. I mean, listen to him try to explain the dismissal of the maintenance people on the fields. Listen to that.
You know, there's been some drama surrounding sports. I understand that some people are.
And before I go further, I like to give credit where credit is due. Let me give credit to the narrative. The minister is being interviewed here by Kalisha Faria on the narrative. Yeah? So we're just making sure that we give Jack he jacket and Jane she blows. All right.
Are being given dismissal letters that has to do with the upkeep of grounds. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, first off, let me just say that Ministry of Sports is currently embarking on a new system or structure to help manage our facilities. It is in line with the national sports policy that is about to unroll. I will say that we are a bit slow in some areas to roll out the national sports policy, but we are trying our best given the circumstances. However, there was a bit of miscommunication with, I think, about 20-something contractors who were affected. What we were attempting to do was to disengage the old structure of the 7 major playing fields and reinstitute. So those contractors who were performing exemplary, and some of them have been there as long as 20-something years, they would have been given first preference to re-engage under the new system.
So let me stop him right there. He lied. Because if that is so, you would not have the Chang field that it have in St. John's right now. And St. John, people who listening, know me a line. I have pictures to prove it. What it used to look like before with the last contractor and what it looks like with the present contractor. In fact, let me ask the minister, the people who do in the field in St. John right now, they even have a contract? Do they have a contract? It'd be interesting to find out if these individuals who are now doing the field in St. John even have a contract.
So what we have presently are maintenance contractors. What we want to do now is to have facilities managers, people who are going to be there stationed. You may have an ex officio supervisor over that, but somebody is going to be there stationed for a particular period so that they can take bookings, they can handle things like that, hand out the keys, etc., for associations to utilize grounds. I'll tell you the issue that we have, why we are going in that route. Currently, in some instances, associations are having clashes as to who could get access to utilize particular fees. We want to have a system.
But I mean, I'm listening to the minister and I'm wondering, because what I'm seeing there is that the Ministry of Youth and Sport is now trying to implement a sports policy that is dated nearly 10 to 12 years old. Now, I know the sports policy, I've read the sports policy, and what he's basically saying there, it's no idea of his. It's no special new idea. These are things that are contained in the old sports policy. But rather than say, let us assess and take a few months and review that sports policy that may be dated back to 2012, let's get it up to date to 2022. Because 2012, you were still using things like BBM and all kind of thing, you know. So whatever you used to do then, you had to update it to what you're using now. What's the name of the other one? You had BBM and you had all kind of weird thing you used to use back then. But you've updated it to what is taking place and what people use now. In the same way, you have to look at policies and you have to update them. So whether it's the youth policy and the various aspects of the youth policy that have to be implemented over an extended period of time, you have to do a review ever so often to see if you're heading the right direction, because the issues that affect the young people of the 1970s are not the same that address the young people of the 1990s, are not the same that address the young people in the year 2022. So you have to be doing constant updating of these things. And what he's saying word for word is just what is contained in national sports policy. There ain't nothing special. But the sports policy has to be updated. So to come and say, well, people can't use the field and all, you all find people can't use the field? You all find that there'll be clashes and so on with some of the big fields and when people have to use it also? I find that is such a major problem that you're having all these things. What I would have liked to see, instead of still the fields being under the Ministry of Sports or the parish councils and that sort of thing, I would have loved to see we going to what you see taking place in the US and the UK and that sort of thing. And a club is in charge of a particular playing field. And that club can then use that playing field and upgrade the facilities and so. They can host their matches against other clubs and so there and so. And they can have different activities there and raise money. I also heard the minister speaking about stopping the cultural activities on some of the playing fields. Okay, all right. You want to stop the cultural activities on the playing fields. Then where are you going to put some of those cultural activities? In the road? Where are you going to put them? And especially around carnival time, you tend to use some of the playing fields to have different activities. I know that the Honorable Kate Skeeter-Lewis and the new National Party team was about to construct the cultural center up there in Simoon. I don't know if this government is still looking at that. I don't know if they will move forward with that plan to ensure that there's a proper cultural center built up there. And when you build the cultural center, that you understand that the traffic plan has to be revised, because when you look at it, the bridge that's there, the road, and so the traffic is something that has to be taken into consideration if you're going to be doing a cultural center up there, because it's not the kind of traffic that you had back in the 1990s when you have like Calypso Monarch semi-finals up in Simoon. Now you have a lot more vehicles on the road. You have different types of vehicle on the road. You have a lot of other people. So while work may be ongoing now, is it a project that we would see continuing? Is it a project that we'd see stopping? And when you finish the project, have some decency and invite the minister to come now. Because the minister that put it together is the minister that started everything. Only doing thing, whether is the Honorable Prime Minister going to put on the lights in Voley. Honorable Oliver Joseph started everything. Everything was done, ting. They go, the election was lost. They go to put on the light. They don't even go. They ain't even go and say, well, Oliver, come and turn on the lights. You know? They want to make it look like it's them. Because I'm telling you, there seems to be a deficit in relation to leadership. A serious deficit when it comes to leadership within the Ministry of Youth. And look now, someone was asking me a while ago, what's going on with the Debushing program? You understand? They were saying, what's going on with the Debushing program? Because there has been a serious cut, a slash in the Debushing program. And we know Christmas coming up. That's what a lot of people look forward to go and get their little kakara coming up to the Christmas season. That might be the money that they're able to give their children out of to go in town and not feel shamefaced on Christmas Eve, or to go in Grenville and not look shamefaced Christmas Eve. But instead of understanding the importance of that and ensuring that you maintain it, remember, they did do the application for the additional funds. I'm trying to remember the proper way you call it. They did an application for funds in Parliament just a few weeks ago when there was a Parliament sitting. They did do the application for additional funds, and part of those funds that they went for, they said, was for the Debushing program. The same Debushing program that they cut. So they said they wanted X amount of money. I can't remember the exact amount of money, so I don't want to quote a figure. But a significant portion of that money was supposed to be going towards the Debushing program. But instead of going towards the Debushing program, now we're hearing the Debushing program cut.
The Debushing program is a program that some people look forward to. It's a program, it's not the best for our people, but at this point in time, on a short-term basis, it is necessary. But rest assured, it is a program we will transform.
Yeah, they transform it. They transform it from the amount of people it had to less people. They want to transform it from the hours that people work now, where you could have a task and you know you have from point A to point B to do. You and the team come out 5 o'clock in the morning and you get that done by 8 so that you could go and take up another job to take care of your family. They want to transform it from that now to 8 to 4. That's what they want to do now. Transform it from 8 to 4. So that you no longer have the ability to hold a second job. That's what they're doing. But I hear them talking about, we're going to transform the Debushing program. People in the Debushing program, and they will transform it. Because they transform a lot of you who used to be temporarily employed under the program to not employed at all. Permanently unemployed. So he don't lie. They will transform it. Good night, cuz. Good night to you. Hope you're having a wonderful night. Tell Auntie hello for me. Yeah. They will transform the Debushing program. Yeah, him again. No, me that say it. He that say it. Yeah? Senator Adrian Joseph that say that.
The Debushing program is a program that some people look forward to. It's a program, it's not the best for our people, but at this point in time, on a short-term basis, it is necessary. But rest assured, it is a program we will transform.
Yeah, they transform it. They will transform it. All the people who used to be engaged under that program and get a little assistance financially to take shame out of their face when the holiday season comes, they have been transformed. The places that used to be cleaned under that program, they have been transformed. So a lot of transformation take place in it, in truth. And yes, Marilyn, I've seen the pictures of Loretto playing field. So I know. Chang, 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 chang. You know when fellas little back in the day and they have scabies or something, so you see they hear chang, 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 because they had to cut it and then they had different bald spots in the head and thing. That is also how them playing field looking up there. The playing field used to be well maintained. So they can't come and tell me that all those people who were doing a good job were kept. They lie. Honorable Ron Redhead, you lie. And there's no other way of saying it, you know. I'm sorry if I seem aggressive in saying it, but he has fibbed. He has told an untruth. He has lied. He has been he has not been fully truthful to you. Because that is not the case. And St. John's is only one, you know. That is only one. There are some other places that are taking place as well. And some people say, oh, you jumping on St. John, you jumping on St. If it happened, there's there to talk about. Is there to talk about. So there is a lack of leadership when it comes to what is taking place in our country right now. And it seems as though you have some, I don't want to really animalize them, but it seems as though you have some raging bull who just going out there and say all kind of thing. Just go out and talk. Just say thing. We having a holiday October 19th. Just say thing. But when comes time to talk, you don't hear them. And folks, it's 9 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. We have 1 hour remaining on the program. Feel free to call in at any point in time. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. And also for those of you out there in the diaspora, you may be feeling callish, and you're out there in the UK or the US or Canada, 347-329-3101. All right? Yeah, and you could also inbox me. I mind that. Inbox me. Don't box me. I say inbox me. All right? You could do that as well. Folks, we're going to take a short break, a short break, and then we will be right back.
hearts of men, are scornful of principles of godliness, wisdom, and freedom. But woe, 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 woe comes swiftly, man. But woe, 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 woe comes quickly. Yes, they use and abuse women, they raise no children, they live the life of wicked thoughts, corruption, embarrassment, and shame.
Yeah, right now like that, open my ministerial lineman because like that's what some of them good for. Go on line. Yeah, folks, 4407377, that's the number for you to call and get onto the inside. And 347-329-3101. Still having the issue with my call box, but I should be able to get your calls. If you call in, I should, even though it's blinking right through, I should be able to get your calls if you call in. All right? Nice.
Himself to a man just like him, but be not afraid, for will come suddenly. Rising, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so do the evil works of evil men found to soon to come to an end. I sing.
I like that one. A good friend of mine is saying, Eli, bend or stretch the truth beyond recognition. And folks, again, I ain't leaving this issue alone because it's an issue that they want us to forget. It's an issue they want us to leave alone. We still want to know what took place on the port. Because I listened, again on the narrative, to an interview with Senator the Honorable Andre Lewis. And it was on that issue on the port. And from what Senator Andre Lewis was saying, what the letter from the Port Authority says, that letter that they put out saying that's how some hanky-panky take place on the port, and you know, the government of Grenada lost a significant amount of money to the Port Authority because people were basically leaving the port without paying them. So that is what the Port Authority sent out a letter and said. And he's saying the letter of dismissal that went to the worker said something different. So is the Port Authority finally admitting what the real reason behind the dismissal of the worker was? And who are the individual or individuals or companies that benefited from the malfeasance? Okay, I'll say that in the thieving that take place on the port. Because we hearing certain names calling. We hearing certain names calling. So tell us that no, it's not them. Tell us it's not them that's involved in it, because we know. All you like to call people names. Or you like to create names and call people names. But there's a sitting government minister whose name continually coming up in this thing. And I'm not saying he did it, but I'm also not saying that he didn't. I'm saying that it is alleged that that particular minister is one of the parties that is at the forefront of the malfeasance that took place on the port of St. George. And that what is being done now is an attempt to cover up the entire issue. Let me say that again. That what is taking place now is an attempt to cover up the entire issue of what took place on the St. George port. There is a letter, a dated and stamped letter from the Grenada Ports Authority that said that this thing took place. It went as far to say that an investigation took place. That's what it said. An investigation took place. And that it was found that an individual was guilty of providing exit passes, but it didn't say to who or whom. So now you have Senator Andrea Lewis kind of adding another twist to the thing, which makes me know for a fact that some kind of cover-up taking place.
Female employee who received the termination letter. And you are correct that the letter did not cite gross misconduct, but a news release from the Grenada Ports Authority accused her of gross misconduct, I believe it was. But certainly the Port Authority has gone on record with me with the phrase gross misconduct. And they have said that she caused substantial loss, they said in a news release to the Port Authority. Something like $12,000 related to exit passes at the port. She got her job back. Why?
Well, that's an interesting issue. It must mean that the parties have reached a position of compromise, as I've said, that have indicated that we are both agreed that she ought to maintain her job. And that's what compromise is about. And it's interesting, Calistria, and that would be examine or explain part of the atmosphere. And that's why personalities are important. Sometimes personalities create further issues. In the letter to the worker, the issue is poor performance. Now, I cannot address one may, it is left to the public to speculate as to why the Port Authority may, in its public release, use a different language. But certainly, the letter of termination, and that is what they have to deal with, and that is what we have to deal with. Because this is a matter, we cannot go to the port and grieve a matter on the basis of a press release.
Well, certainly you can't.
Right, and therefore that is where they probably have taken the liberty to say things that may not necessarily be able to be proven. And that's, I mean, that's them. They choose to put out the press.
And folks, you realize what took place as well. Last year, late in last year, I think it was just before Christmas as well, when port workers went on strike, the NDC mouthpieces and activists were saying, shut down the place, and calling on other unions to join with the Port Authority workers and strike. Earlier this year, before the general election, if I can remember correctly, Adrian Watts, good night, and Ruth, good night. Before the elections, there were at least 2 strikes on the Port of St. George. Senator Andrea Lewis at that point in time was God gift to the trade union movement as far as they were concerned. That's before he talked in Mayday. God's gift to the trade union movement. He was a good fella. But the moment that strike takes place under an NDC government, you're hearing a different story. We have a call online. Good night.
Hello, good night.
Hello, good night.
Mr. Scott.
Hi.
One small correction that you made mention of is not Senator Adrian Joseph, it's Senator Adrian Thomas.
Adrian Thomas. Okay, nice. Thank you so very much, my friend.
Right. And let me make a point here.
Go right ahead.
I just wondering that since that this government don't like poor people in our country, it's to the needy people, because the needy people, they call them needy and greedy. But I am simply stating they're simply cutting a lot of these programs that the previous government had in order to satisfy the needs of 500 pensioners. So they could put more in the consolidated. They have reached 75 million now. By the end of payment, you might hear it reach 100 million. So I am hoping that this is not the case, so that the poor people, those they term needy and greedy, will get something to subsidize themselves for the Christmas, to go by for the Christmas. And it is very important that we do something or say something. We have to ask people to come out and demonstrate, because there have been a lot of Imanis already has been home. And some more will be going because they will be cutting from 38 million to, I don't know if it's half of that, to 16. So that it means, therefore, it's either they get less salary or stipend, or they cut the Imani program by half. China's already cut. They have already cut in the seed program. Some people who get in the little school fees for their children no longer getting that. So I am wondering, what more can a government who is transforming a country could do to transform the lives of its citizens by sending them home? Thank you very much.
Okay, brother. No, the transforming people into poverty. That's what they're doing. They're transforming themselves into rich, high, and mighty, and they're transforming other people into poverty. We have a caller online. Good night.
Hi, good night.
Hi, good night. Go right ahead, caller. You're live.
Good night, Sheldon. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
After many years.
Yes, man. I know the voice.
Okay, my contribution is this. We want to know the truth, not just the post, but the true explanation with the Green Lake issue as well. Why the bills are so high. We need the truth on the either side. And we need explanation. We need the truth. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my brother.
I'll leave it right there.
Okay, great. I'm going to have to dedicate an entire program just to deal with Grand Lake. If I'm dealing with Grand Lake, I can't deal with anything else. I have to deal with that because I'll tell you that the Prime Minister has signaled early up, in fact, in his very first interview, he had signaled intention to dispose of the shares that government got back from WRB, to dispose of that to a company. I don't know if it might go back to the same WRB. I don't know if it might go to another company that associated to WRB. I don't know the company it might go to. But the intention is to dispose of those shares. And the discussion was that you have 5 engines that need replacing within the next 10 years. Which is why I keep saying there's a lack of leadership. There's also a lack of clarity and understanding of different things. Listen, if you put solar panels on all government buildings, you don't need at least 2 of those engines. You don't need it. If you put solar panels on different buildings and so looking at alternatives instead of just looking at this is what we're facing and we have to find 16 million to do this. We have a call online.
Hey, good night, Sheldon. How you doing?
Hey, I'm fine. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm listening. I just want to clarify to we the NMP supporters, when we call in programs, let we at least get we mark something right, because let me tell you what the NEC goons do. They go and make a little thing on the radio. If you make a little gaffe, they go and say you're done, you're stupid, and you know what's going on. So half of 38 is 19, not 16. Right? So let me clarify that. Because we're recording us. Let me continue now. This is not going on the port. The government, as I understand, they lose about $20 million, I think. That's all.
Well, I know the figure was spoken about $12,000 in exit passes, but that does not quantify. Wait, hold on. That's the exit passes. That does not quantify what the goods that left the port cost. In other words, what the government was supposed to collect from the goods that left the port. $12,000 is just the cost of the exit passes that were given out.
Yeah, talking about the overall revenue. The overall revenue of all the boats that had to turn away and all these things. And the mere fact that the government get involved in this thing, the government had to get involved and circle it. And if somebody is doing wrong on a job and they are fired summarily, that means they're grossly wrong. And a company or anybody, any working area, the union can only secure your gratuity or whatever money you have to get. But if a company on the fire and they get rid of you, they will get rid of you. So what happened with that one day? For one person, and the one put all the union as enemy number 1 in Grenada. All the unions know is enemy of Grenada, and you're seeing them, some of them going on some kind of board, some of them working teachers in 2018. You're seeing them on boards now.
But let me just quickly ask you this. Do you remember that last year, close to Christmas, the port had a strike?
I remember, man.
And twice earlier this year, the port had a strike before this one. So the unions were okay then, but all of a sudden the unions is public enemy one now.
I savvy like savvy right now. The things I seen online and the clips I seen online, Minister of Sports and Culture and the little pocket meetings they had in Boca up there, and the PM now, then political leader of the party, looking at people in the eye and saying, no, not Imani will go up number 1, 2, you all will get permanent job, 3, you all will not get no 6-month contract. So they cannot say nothing now, and all they saying about, oh, NMP don't care about all they on contract. The same Claudia Joseph came in the first sitting at the house. She said we cannot hire everybody, and this pension thing, we had to go and do a reform. So when the caller called this morning on a certain program, and he made a little point about the $100,000, you will spend $1,000 every month or whatever. And then somebody else called, and she was talking about, oh, well, if the $100,000 from the pension finished, then you have NIS. That is the same thing that Claudette and them trying to give it up. That's what pension reform means. Because you're getting 2 pensions, and that's not supposed to be, and that's what the country's saying. You can't afford it. And there's a problem Homeland, I'm sure, getting tapped for, but let me hear what I'm brother. Let me hear somebody else.
Okay, my brother. You enjoy the rest of your night. Yes, indeed. 4407377. And those of you overseas, remember you've got to call on 347-329-3101. You've got the opportunity to call. And he spoke about what Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph said. Yeah, we could play that. So don't feel we have it. We have it.
Raise the issue of contract work and how unfair contract work is, whether it's taking place in the public sector or the private sector, and the need to regularize.
Before she goes further, just remember, these people speaking are the same ones that just hire a bunch of nurses on contract. And from what we're hearing, the majority of people that have been brought into the quote-unquote new ministry, we'll discuss that at another time, the Ministry of Transformation, what we're hearing is that the majority of those people as well are on contract. That's what we're hearing. So anyway, let me let the Honorable Minister continue. I am sorry for disturbing.
It's as much as we can, contract workers. But let's be straight. We've got to be straight with the nation. Contract work and pension reform must go together. Because we commit to pay the retroactive pension, and we are doing so. We understand the import of the ruling of the court. But so as not to do severe damage, perhaps even irreparable damage to our economy in the long run, we must work out a pension plan going forward that's sustainable.
And folks, what the minister is saying, she is not saying anything wrong, you know. Everything Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph is saying is truthful. The only problem I have with it is that Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell was saying the same thing just a few months ago. And these were the people that were saying, just pay it, we don't care. We have a caller online. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Sheldon Scott.
My love.
Sheldon Scott, good night. I just watching you there.
Yes, my love. You seen your son? You seen your son?
You all right?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good.
Yes, good night.
And your boys are okay.
Good night, Mr. Watts. They're telling us say good night, he and his wife.
Yes, they're listening.
Mr. Sheldon, this quote, the government lost a lot of money. A lot of money. And why did I say, Sheldon, that lady should not take the rap. She must call the people's name.
Exactly.
Sheldon, I would like the lady to call the people's name. I want the lady to call the people's name. You understand? And the next thing, and not tell me today, they give her $500. They give her $500.
Extra?
$500 they give them, you know. So I don't know what's going on because a lot of the nurses is leaving. Yeah?
My goodness.
So I don't know what's really going on in Grenada, you know. But I'm very disappointed with how they're treating the young people. If you tell the Prime Minister in his campaigning, Mr. Scott, I cannot understand that. And I know he's listening. You tell the young people you're going to make them permanent. Sheldon, I didn't expect them to keep some of them as permanent secretary in the office. But they could have put the people in different places to work. Why you send them poor people home? What do you want them to do? What you want the young people to do? A lot of people frustrated. A lot of young people frustrated. And you have Grenadians that saying, it's that time now. We in charge. These are the same people you tell them will make them permanent. What you want these young people to do? You understand? And Grenadians are listening to them on other radio stations saying they're in charge. That is not right. And if the Prime Minister is listening to talking points, Mr. Prime Minister, think about that. You have family. Some of the ministers have family and it's poor people. I am feeling for these young people that you are sending home. You can't do that to people. I mean, all your custom cussing me and calling me all names. Fine, all right.
They can't touch you. Don't worry that. Let us say what they want to say. They can't touch you.
People, don't send them people home. When I look around, right now, push all over. I mean, on the NNP time, I know I lost. I take it with a smile. But the place is to clean. The place is to clean. A lot of people is suffering. And you know, Mr. Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Scott. Some of the young people are staying home. It's NDC supporters, you know.
But as I said, they're just doing things helter-skelter and crazy. So a lot of their people will suffer.
Grenada belongs to all of us. Grenada belongs to all of us, and it's not right. I want to know some of the ministers inside there, they have children, they have family, and all they just sit back. I want to know who is it. I want to know who is the Prime Minister advisor. And I want to know if you know 500 young people gone home. It's not right, sir. It's not right. It is not right. God don't like this thing. We say we're a Christian nation. God don't like this thing. You go send home all these people for one man, all they don't like in Grenada? Huh? And all they want all the credit. Sheldon, they want all the credit for what the NNP government did over the years. They want all the credit. Somebody make up a bed and leave you to lie in it and you want all the credit? Come on. Grenadians, you all don't do this to young people. Because when they go start to rob people and thief and do all kind of things, don't blame anybody. And today a lady tell me, a nurse, I won't lie, I don't have to call her name, tell me she go for she money, they take off on the pay list. You know, the helpers they'll have like cleaning and holding guards and all them kind of things. That is not right. You cannot be hurting your own people. Please are begging. Please have a conscience. All of you all inside there, all of you all ministers, have a conscience. There is poor people only doing that too. And it's not right. God don't like looking it. Have a good night.
All right, Gabby, you have a wonderful one.
You too, Mr. Scott. I didn't know you did on TV. I just put on me and thing. I just come from town, you know.
Oh, Lord.
I just come from town and I sit down there and them thing, you know, people, some of them, they don't buying, some of them throwing words, and they cussing me and tell me all dirty things, you know, and they in charge and they beating the chest. When God go beat his chest and say, I'm in charge, I hope nobody don't say nothing.
Exactly.
Anyhow,
it's not them in charge. God that in charge.
God that is in charge, and I don't know if these people are free. I don't know if it's ministers and them that is there. If they are sleep in the night, something has to be what I need to. We have to stop that and treat people right. We all Grenadians. We all Grenadians, and you have people that are not saying anything. You have people that are saying nothing, and that is not right.
Exactly.
We won. Have a good night, son.
All right, same to you.
I just there. I don't know already. They could do what they want. If they want to throw me out of the terminal, I go still eat and drink. I don't care because I am all stressed out with people that come into me and need help, and I can't help them.
Oh, goodness.
You know, it's sad. It's really sad. Don't penalize the people because there was NNP supporters. One man cannot run a race. One man can't run a race. One man can't play a cricket match. He stole the win already. I
All
really
right.
thought they'd do something different to help the young people. You lie for them again, and they get caught.
Well, let's see, because
Oh God.
what I'm saying is with the lashback that's coming right now, if they had plans of doing it, they won't do it again. Believe me, they won't do it again. They're gonna put it off to a later time.
Sheldon, a lot of people don't know what some people is going on. Yeah, you know, if you're on the ground, if these people on the ground, if Mr. Andrews on the ground, Miss Claudette on the ground, Mr. Deaton on the ground, to hear people speak and cry, you have people that think good with them. But what about some of the poor people that, oh God, Lord, have mercy on us. We have to pray for
Kami,
the
we go talk
country.
again, my love.
Yes, sir.
All right, you have a good night. Bye bye.
Good night.
Indeed, that's Miss Kiami. Yeah, folks, when you're passing on the terminal, make sure and pass by Miss Kiami and give her a look of sale. Even if it's a little bottle of water that you buy or something, give Miss Kiami a look of sale when you're passing through the town. Nice. We have a caller online. Good night. Hello. Hello. Oh, that caller isn't paying attention to their phone. They're listening off their device. Hello. Okay. Caller, just remember, when you're calling, you've got to pay attention to the phone line and not the device that you're listening on. Whether you're listening on radio or you're listening through another mobile phone or whatever it is, you've got to pay attention to the phone line when you're calling. So give us a call back. Your input is important to us. All right? And yeah. Before I take that call, we want to hear a little more from Sister Claudette. Yeah, Honorable Claudette.
As it stands now, when people retire, they are entitled to NIS. That's public servants, I mean. They are entitled to NIS plus government pension. And government pension is a non-contributory pension, which means the government alone pays everything into the pension fund, plus under the NIS law, the government pays 6% into the NIS, into the National Insurance Fund. So going forward, that will be a really hefty sum that the IMF and everybody else have already warned is not sustainable going forward as it is. Plus, if we regularize contract workers across the board without at the same time treating with pension reform, what do? We bloat the public service. We expand the public service, and in so doing, the amount of people who would be eligible for pension. So we call on our friends in the labor movement to sit with us and work out an acceptable mode going forward.
Yes, folks, and I think we have a caller online. Let's go to the phone line. Good night.
Hey, good night, Brother Sheldon.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
I'm okay, man.
All right. You all have an activity up on that side, innit?
Yes, Friday coming.
Friday coming?
Yeah.
Which location? Tell me, thing, man.
That's that, eh?
Tell me, thing. I come in,
yeah,
innit?
it's at 4 o'clock, you have your one.
But which part exactly?
It's by Long Wall and Grand Mall.
By Long Wall and Grand Mall. All right. So when I see the activity there, I know it's the New National Party.
Yep.
For the Northwest constituency. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, but what else is up, man? Go right ahead.
Yeah, man. Shall everything okay for the time being? We're just watching the happenings in the island. What is going on? Like it come like some people benefiting and some people going through hardship and difficulties. And I always see like a government is there to reach out and to make life better for everyone in the country. And what if it happened? I remember in 2008, shortly after the NDC came in government with the Debushing, what they did, they take out $10 from the those working on the road. They took out $10 from the salary, and they still had to work the same amount of time. And look how they come back again. When the people work from 8 to 4, and more work, and for the same money, how that could be fair? While they trying to decrease the money the poor people working for, they increasing themselves. And Brother Sheldon, you know, like Like a man coming to work, he don't work a weekend, but you're asking for a raise of pay. You're asking for a raise of pay. That is unfair, right? And those who working long and they deserve a raise of pay. They deserve what what is supposed to get. But what's happening, instead of forgive them, you send them home without nothing. And them people, they have the family to take care of. And it is not easy, Brother Sheldon. When you know you're working and you don't get paid and you're going to sit down and watch. And some people, that become like a joy to them. They're happy. And then sometimes we always say Grenada is a Christian country. And I always say to people, Christian, like we say, not something that you talk about. It's your lifestyle. And your lifestyle has to match up with the Word of God. And if and like I say today, like we call upon the same people that was the churches, the NGOs, where are them? Where are them today? They keep quiet. Right? And people going through difficulties because not anything they did anything wrong. And Brother Sheldon, I know in 2008, you have every day, night and day, program on issue land-based the NMP government. But nobody was used to be sent home because of the criticism the government. That's freedom of speech. But now you can't say nothing. So I will ask myself a question: if we are in Russia or if we are in Korea, where people are free to attack, and if we attack, they go lose their job. Because how can we say that they call him in and tell him you have a choice, whether you start one program or you keep your work. That's why we come to in Grenada.
All right, my brother. Thank you. Well, no, it comes now that you can't even go a birthday party because some kind of idiot coming around to see who go to birthday party. So you can't go a birthday party of a 100-year-old individual because people come in and feel people afraid them and trying to give the impression that they come in as some superstar and everybody was afraid and running from them. When they didn't even last a good 10 minutes inside, the fellas run that. But that's the kind of thing. But I was playing for you a short while ago what Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph was saying in relation to the pension ruling, the pension judgment. But everything she says sounds kind of familiar, because you will remember there was a national address that was broadcast live from the annex of the Grenada Trade Center earlier this year. And let's listen.
We can only have the best outcome, however, my friends, by having the most honest conversations. And that must include all stakeholders being engaged. Because this is not about just the public workers. It's about all the citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. The government obviously must lead on this matter. Have no choice. But it puts a reasonable final solution in doubt unless we purposely engage all stakeholders. And that we have begun to do. We have begun dialogue with our social partners. We've spoken to churches, some NGOs, the business community, social organizations, and trade unions. And the first meeting with the trade unions body as a whole, not just a limited group, was scheduled for last Friday. Unfortunately, for whatever reason unknown to me, there was a decision taken by the major unions not to attend the meeting and participate in the discussions that involve the peace and stability of our beautiful country. Fellow Grenadians, Carriaconians, Petit Martinicans, I stand here tonight still hopeful that this broader dialogue will get started in the interest of public officers who have already retired and those whom retirement is likely soon.
So folks, what you've been hearing there It's the same thing that Senator Claudette Joseph is saying, but they want to give the impression, and that's what they did. When Dr. Mitchell sent out the invitation to the unions, you had the political activists cussing the union leaders and warning them, if all you only go that meeting, we're getting rid of you all next election, next union election that is. They were threatened. And they were threatened by some very noisy people. Good night to you, Amisha and Amaya. Hope that you all are having, yes, Pink. Hope you all are having a good night tonight. Yeah, they were threatened if you go that meeting. And the meeting is to discuss a very important issue. Because they took the presentation that then Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell made, and they tried to give the impression that what he was saying was not true. So they say that the figures that he called was wrong. But the figures that they keep speaking to is just part of what has to be paid. Because remember, while 44.1 million is paid now, right? That's retroactive. And so that's been paid. The interest has not been paid on that. Plus, you now have to pay these 500 plus people on a monthly basis. Then you have roughly 1,200, 1,200 or more. That's the low figure. The low figure is 1,200 or more people that are within the public service now, that according to the 1958 Act, that is now the act that guides the government in relation to pension, that could take up the Georgie bundle and go. And these people will have to receive their gratuity payment. They'll receive their proper pension when they attain the pensionable age, which at this time is 60. And according to the NIS and what has been stated before, there was the intention of moving the age up a bit. But that these people have already made their 26 3/4. So these people, no matter their age, because the 1958 Act, I've been reading it, and the 1958 Act is clear, you know. It don't matter your age. Once you've spent 26 and I believe it's 3/4 in the public service of Grenada, no matter your age, you can take early retirement, and you could take your gratuitous payment, you take your gratuity, and then you receive a reduced pension when you become of the pensionable age. So there are people that could take their money right now. Who knows the amount? Some people might be getting 100,000. Some people might be getting 200,000. Some people could take 80,000. Somebody might just decide, I'm done with that. I worked all these years already. I'm finished with that. I'm working since I'm in my 20s. Now I'm nearing the end of my, well, probably since the 18 in some instances. I am nearing the end of my 30s and into my early 40s or whatever. Or into my mid 40s, wherever it is. But they've made their 26 years. And they decide now, I am taking my gratuity and go. Government doesn't have a choice in the matter. Government can't say, well, stay there and wait. According to the court ruling now, government have to pay these people. So if 1,000 or 500 or 300 or even 2 decide that they're leaving, they have to be paid. Because they've made the requisite time within the public service, according to the 1958 Act. And they try to give the impression that NNP never tackled the pension issue. Total unadulterated nonsense. It is the NNP that created a special pension for people that did not qualify under the 1958 Act. The new National Party administration put that in place. And there are many people receiving a pension right now called a special pension due to that act being put in place. People who otherwise may have been destined for poverty, but they are receiving assistance through that special pension. That act was passed. The only problem is now that act may have to be repealed, because according to the judgments of the court, all the acts that came after the 1958, quote unquote, to put it in simple terms, illegal. So now you have people that are retiring from the public service and they could get up to the 70% and they're still getting, that's the pension, 70% of their last salary. So they could take a gratuity. If they're pensionable age, they could take the gratuity and they could take the reduced pension payment, or they could take their full pension and forget the gratuity. They have that option. And then, outside of that money that they're receiving, remember, once they reach that pensionable age under the NIS Act, they have to receive the NIS pension too. Now, the one that they're receiving from the government, they did not pay any money to, like on a monthly basis out of the salary. That money has to be found by whatever means, because presently the government has to find roughly, and I'm giving a rough figure here, roughly $500,000 to add to the salaries that they have to pay on a monthly basis, because you're talking about 500 people, and it's roughly about, let's say, $1,000 each that they may have to receive. So it could be as much, it may be a little lower, but on average, it could be around $500,000 additional that they have to add to the pensions that they're paying. And from what I'm hearing from several public workers, they ain't get paid yet. They 28. You all know if it was Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and with Honorable Gregory Bowen as Minister of Finance, all they get paid since Friday. Ain't it? All they know since Friday, all they get paid because the 27th would have fallen on the Saturday. All they that don't get paid already. No, 27th would have fallen yesterday. So all they that get paid already. So I'm hearing several people, they ain't get, not everybody, but I'm hearing several people, they ain't get paid yet. And they're being told tomorrow, you know. Hey, Kathy, good night to you and Faye and Keisha. And oh boy, I was seeing something from Marilyn earlier, but it's kind of gone off my timeline right now. But again, I wanted you to hear what Dr. Mitchell said. So that's why I played what was there. And I'm going to play it again during this week, because it's important you hear what he said and what they are saying now. And that's why I say the new National Party is lucky, you know, because it don't have to change what it was saying a few months ago. So nobody could watch the members of the new National Party and say you're a hypocrite. They don't have to change what they were saying before because they were speaking the truth. So now, the people who were saying that the NNP was lying, you're hearing them all of a sudden now starting to say the same thing. So you heard Senator Claudette Joseph speaking about the fact that the people are receiving two pensions, would be receiving two pensions according to the court judgment, two pensions. So they'll be receiving the 1958 pension and they're receiving the NIS pension. So they're getting two pensions, right? So those people getting a good something at the end. And nobody much jealous them of money. They're getting their money. But is it sustainable? Can the country afford on a monthly basis from now to infinity paying that sort of pensions to public workers on a monthly basis? And let me make sure and say public workers here, because there were many people that were fooled during the election campaign into believing that they qualified when they were not public workers. So there were many elderly people and middle-aged people that went out there without full information because they just refused to listen. Yeah, in some instances, they just refused to listen when it was being spoken about. So now they have been duped into a position where they believed that they were going to get a pension as well, and only to find out now they are not among the 500. And that movie, The 300 Spartans, well, you have the 500 pensioners in Grenada, and they were not among the chosen. Because number one, some of them didn't work in the public service, or when they did work in the public service, didn't make the prerequisite 26 and 3/4, right? And that's why you now hear the Prime Minister, he wasn't saying that before election, you know, but he's saying that now. That's why I say NNP had to change them out. They had to change them out. So now he's speaking about, well, after we sort this issue with the public workers out, we'll have to look at some module now of how we're going to address pension for everybody else. Mr. Prime Minister, people receive a pension through the NIS. If you want to address that, then you can address that. Oh boy, we lost that call. Caller, you can call back 440-7377. Yeah, but it was important for you to hear what Dr. Mitchell had to say because they don't want you hear that, eh? They don't want you hear that. In fact, what, you're going to hold on calls for a little while? Listen to what he had to say.
This period, and in particular, this pension issue presents another defining moment in our history that we as a nation must face together. Sisters and brothers, we meet this moment by not being consumed with old suspicions, nor by distrust, by looking at personalities, but by a national discourse befitting of the creation of a society worthy of the inheritance of our children and grandchildren. This recent High Court decision, whatever we may think about it, of reinstating public sector pension scheme and rules, creates a very large financial pension obligation which is additional to pension expenditures of the National Insurance Scheme. And remember, all of us must remember, government, like all other employers, is responsible for paying 6% already of employee earnings as part of their monthly contributions to the NIS. The 2022 fiscal impact is estimated of that decision at between 2.2 and 7.9% of GDP, largely dependent, sisters and brothers, of how current employees who already meet the reinstated scheme eligibility conditions, how they react to the court ruling. In recent past, your government attempted to address public employees' dissatisfaction through legal amendments and agreements with your trade union brothers and sisters. In response to the demands to reduce the large difference between the NIS and public sector pensions, government signed in 2018 a memorandum of understanding with the trade unions, granting a top-up to a limited group of people. Eligibility was conditioned on 26 years and 8 months of service or more, retiring at the age of 60. The top-up was equal to the difference between the NIS pension and 70% of the retiree's final salary.
So folks, you're hearing there's some of the things that the NNP addressed to the pension, because there are people that would try to give you the impression. And folks, I reopen the phone lines right now, 440-7377. And for those of you outside of Grenada, remember it's 347-329-3101. Yeah, there's the impression they attempt to give to you that the NNP never addressed the pension issue. They won't tell you that in 2013, it was the NNP that came in and did not challenge the case that was put forward under the NDC administration. Not the NNP administration, the NDC administration in relation to the issue of pensions. So it was the NDC that challenged the case, that went to court with the case. The NNP didn't challenge it. We have a caller online. Good night.
Hey, Sheldon, quickly before you go. About a former NNP minister that they say collecting a pension. a former teacher. Well, we all know, you understand? What I want to ask them, because the narrative what I hear with this particular former minister is that when the teachers and everybody was out there marching in the street illegally, she didn't say that now she was in government. I want to ask you, can a government minister go and march against their own self?
If a government minister does that, they have to immediately resign.
Right. Hold on.
In the Westminster system, if you find that you've gotten into a position that you cannot agree with a position that the government has taken, you are to immediately resign. You've seen it several times in England. You've seen it in Trinidad. You've seen it in Barbados.
And you put a vote of no confidence. So hear this.
No, not necessarily a vote of no confidence. Well, you just resign. You take yourself out of the government and you go back bench.
Let me go further. You hear about public workers officials like teachers and things going into rallies and have on yellow jersey and green jersey and getting problems. Can the police be seen in any rally on any party side or any party colors?
If the police are carrying out specific duties, that may be allowed.
Well, exactly.
Specific duties.
Right.
And I don't think I need to go into detail in that, but I would say that you could see someone that you may know as a police officer, and that person may be in party colors. Just don't say nothing.
Well, right. Well, apparently that happened right then. Well, people get in trouble for that in Grade and against them. But what I'm trying to say is that they're making this thing a big deal. Like if a former minister, before you become a minister, you could have been a teacher, you could have been whatever. Before you become a minister, you just have one term.
But before all of that, you are Grenadian.
Before all, you're Grenadian. So I don't understand what this big nose.
No. No. But I keep a certain standard when I do in a program. No.
On a serious note.
Right.
The narrative they're pushing is like, oh, this particular person was in government and no, and look them, they're in line, and the president are giving something wrong.
So what's wrong with that? Is the person a Kenyan? Are they from the Ivory Coast or Sudan? They're Grenadian. They're from here.
But if I remember very well, there are two older members in the NDC as ministers right now that is qualified for this pension thing.
Two? Brother man, you know start account.
Well, anyhow, later.
All right, brother. There are many former ministers under the NDC that collecting their pension right now. They're collecting their parliamentary pension. So I mean, it's not like they say, well, I ain't taking that pension. They're collecting their pension. All right, so you can't vex because your people collecting the pension. Is the former Prime Minister, Mr. Tillman Thomas, is he collecting a pension or he does say he don't want that? What about people like Mr. Arlene Walker and so on, Mr. Nazim Burke? He's a former NDC minister, former MP and all of that. Is he just saying he ain't collecting that, he ain't bothering? Come on. So it's a nonsensical statement. I mean, watch. In fact, that one even makes sense going on. Back to the pension issue. I'm saying that these individuals are trying to give the impression during the time that the NNP was saying these things, that the NNP was saying something wrong. Now they're saying the same thing. We have a caller online. Good night.
Sheldon, I just come in there for a second.
No problem. Go right ahead.
Sheldon, you said, a lot of people get caught with the pension business, Sheldon, and they're not qualified. They're not qualified, Mr. Scott. And they get caught by that. A lot of elderly people that work, they're not public servants. They get caught by, you're going to get your pension.
Exactly.
And a lot of people get caught by that. They
yes.
get fooled, Sheldon. And that is the reason why some of them vote for NDC. But no, they know they're not qualified to get the pension. It's I'm glad for the people, trust me, and I'm speaking from my heart. I'm glad for the people that work and they get their money. But the people that are not qualified, they get caught. They catch them, they Sheldon. Mm-hmm. They catch a lot of the young people too. They catch the young people. We're going to make you prominent. And a lot of them go for that. And that they get it. With the end of the stick now. It's sad. And I'm in line. That does bother me as a mother and a grandmother. And
oh, goodness.
You talk about some people get paid. That's what the lady tell me today. because she owe me a little money, and twice she go for she pay. She say, Miss Tammy, I used to get the money early under the NNC government. And she go twice. And she don't get your money from last month. I don't know if she lying to me, but that's what she tell me today. So it's sad because I want my little money to pay my rent. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have so many people that are technical things from me when I have little vegetables, and they take little things, and they just pay me. First time I'm going through that with them. And she tell me she don't get your money. So it's sad. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, Cammy, let me ask one question before you run off, eh?
Yeah.
If they're given the amount of problem to pay now, these people are to pay in 2 weeks again, you know?
Sheldon,
in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks they are to pay.
Ask, you know, if every month they have to pay the pension people, if every month like the month is salary, you have to pay them every month? Eh? What's about these people and them? Where are they going to find that money, Mr. Scott?
And then, if they're struggling to pay now, where does that put them with the paying every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks?
Look, they have an example to prove how paying every 2 weeks could work right now. Pay people in 2 weeks, in basically 15 days from, I think it's Wednesday. Pay people 15 days from then. And show how the paying every 2 weeks could roll out. But the thing is, even that promise, you're telling people you're going to pay them every 2 weeks. But if you're paying me $1,000 and you're paying me every 2 weeks, it don't mean again 2,000, you know. It means again 500.
Well,
and all we know what...
tell me that...
What you break Go ahead.
Not tell me the Minister of Health give them $500. That's what she tell me. You know? So I don't know.
Oh, God.
I don't know what's going on. I already can't...
I have to investigate that one. I have to investigate and inquire on that one. I have to do an investigate.
Because we want to know. And next thing again, Mr. Martin was the Commissioner of Police, eh?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Martin was the Commissioner of Police. Now they have this beautiful man they know acting. But they don't tell us, they don't tell the Grenadian people that Mr. Martin is not the commission if you're on vacation or whatever. You know, I don't know. You don't get nobody to come out and have and explain to us what's going on.
Oh boy. But
nothing at all.
We had to leave it there because we only have a minute and a half remaining.
Okay, darling.
All right, my love.
I don't know.
But so I'm on. We're on tomorrow night, same time.
Research.
Yes, I'm going to do it.
And inform us.
All right.
What's going on? Because we are Grenadians.
Yes, my love.
Good night.
All right. Yes, folks, because we have roughly 1 minute remaining on tonight's program. Remember, we'll be on tomorrow night with more talking points because I want to delve a little deeper into one or two issues that I didn't really go deeper into tonight. You see that pension issue? And I want to show you what was being said by the NDC when they were in opposition. Because remember, the then Prime Minister speak about he going to pay the pensions by taking loan and all kind of thing. He reach in, he find money inside the treasury for so. The first interview, he say, well, it's enough money inside. They are convinced they could pay it without we having to take a loan. So we're going to speak a little more on those issues tomorrow, and we're going to play some more clips for you tomorrow night. So, folks, remember, we have a rebroadcast of this program at 10 a.m., right? So you can tune in to all the websites and so tomorrow at 10 a.m., but at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, we will be live once again, God's willing, with more talking points. And whatever you say and do it safe and secure. You want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely, for sure, not about you. Love each and every one of you. I am out. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Of men are scornful of principles of godliness